Okay, today we're going to talk about how some of the most famous people you've heard about in history kicked the bucket. So we're going to start off with Napoleon Bonaparte. You'll notice in this picture he's holding his stomach. Maybe you'll notice in these two additional photos he's also holding his stomach, which really begs one question. Why does this dude keep holding his stomach? The answer? Cancerous stomach ulcers. If you're interested in more details like this, you need to check out the book How They Croaked by Georgia Bragg and illustrated by Kevin O'Malley. Ever heard the expression, "It was like a car wreck, I just couldn't look away"? That is pretty much how you will feel when you start reading this book. Chock full of morbid details, unfortunate events, and the nitty-gritty on some of the most esteemed faces in history. It's so terrible, you just have to keep reading. Ever know how the famous Egyptian queen Cleopatra died? Most of you probably haven't guessed that it was via a poisoned hairpin while under palace arrest. That George Washington started and survived dozens of battles during the Revolutionary War and won the nation its freedom, only to die of a toothache? Speaking of, did you know that no less than 7 presidents died while in office? This can mostly be attributed to unsafe medical practices and a lack of the Secret Service, as Georgia Bragg explains more in depth in this book. Nonetheless, if you are still interested in some of these outdated, unsafe, and non-hygienic medical processes, you are in luck. Between death stories, there are some great tips for fun activities like bloodletting and leeching, plus handy info on scurvy and tuberculosis. But this book isn't just for reading. Stories from this book can create dynamic dinner conversations with your family when you get home. Who doesn't want to hear about aplastic anemia and stomach ulcers over beef and broccoli? More of the graphic novel reader? That's okay. You may still like this book. Clever or cruel, depending on where you stand on the issue, the morose and sarcastically rendered drawings add dark humor enhancements every few pages to keep you interested. So in between all the nice stories you're listening to or reading, make time for this masterpiece of the dark and dreary, awful ends of the awfully famous.